Hey guys, it has been a very long week, and as you saw, my whole room and kind of my life is a bit of a mess right now. But the good thing is it's finally November, and I have reached that point where I am counting down the days for this atrocious year to be finally over. And now that it has been 11 months into this year and 9 months into quarantine, I've been reflecting more and more on just what has gone down this year. And I thought I would start with all of the financial mistakes that I made this year, aka all of the money that I have literally poured down the drain. For the stupidest of reasons, might I add. But yeah, let's get started. So usually first thing in the morning, after my coffee, of course, I like to check up on some things before getting to work. So this includes things like my emails, YouTube stats, whether Samantha has replied to my DM yet, and especially recently, the news. And I think since maybe April or May, one consistent trend is that the stocks, on average, have been going up, which brings me to my first point. But before we continue, I want to remind you that I am not a financial advisor. In fact, I'm quite a noob when it comes to money and stocks, so please do not take whatever I say as financial advice. These are just personal anecdotes that I wanted to share with you all. So let's take a trip back to early March. In my daily news update, I was noticing that the stock market was starting to dip. So I figured this is probably the time to put some money back into the stock market. Now, I chose to use Wealthfront for this, which curates a mix of stocks, bonds, and ETFs according to your ideal risk assessment. So I took the plunge and put about $5,000 into Wealthfront. But what I should have expected and wasn't mentally prepared for was the fact that things would probably get a lot worse before they get any better, especially with everything going on in the world at the time. So in the days and weeks that followed, I saw the stocks go lower and lower and lower until March 23rd, at which point the S&P was at $222.95. And at that point, my investment had gone down by at least $1,000. So being the somewhat illogical cheapo that I am, I started to freak out about all of my hard-earned money that I was losing. So when that moment hit in June, when the stocks had gone back up and I made back the money that I lost, I told myself, screw this investing thing, I cannot deal with this stress, I'm gonna pull out all of my money. And if you know anything about investing, you know that this is a big no-no. And today, while I don't know how much I would have made on Wealthfront, if we assume the growth is proportional to the S&P 500, my $5,000 I put in March would now be worth around $6,800. So what I learned from this is that, at least for me, I should treat investing as a long-term game. Especially since I can tolerate a little bit of risk, I should be okay with just letting my money sit in my investments and experience those ups and downs, which are natural for the stock market. But, oh well. This is pretty funny because for the past 5 months or so, I've been getting emails from pretty much every gym I've ever used in my life asking me to come back, apparently for the sake of my own health. Which brings me to my second financial mistake. Because I couldn't cancel my gym membership, I unnecessarily lost around $200. And I think we all know that gyms are notorious for being incredibly pesky when it comes to canceling your memberships. In fact, I think there's a whole Friends episode about this. And in my case, what happened is that I waited until June, just when gyms were reopening, to call and freeze my membership. But then, a few weeks ago when I checked my credit card statement, for the first time in a few months, which was my own mistake, I noticed a recurring $43 charge. And when I looked into it, I realized that my gym never froze or canceled my membership and was charging me $43 every single month for the past 5 months. And so I thought this would be a pretty easy fix. But little did I know that when I called them, they would roast me for failing to check my credit card statements for this $43 charge and for failing to leave a paper trail of this conversation. Because from the gym's perspective, it was simple. They had no evidence that I wanted to cancel my gym membership and they had no obligation to give me a refund. So this was pretty upsetting to me, especially since I like to save my money. But it did teach me a lot of really important lessons. So first thing, and maybe I am still salty about this whole experience, but I am going to be very wary about signing gym memberships. Now, I was using Gold's Gym, so it could be a problem with them, but I think this is just a universal problem with a lot of these national chains. Second, I learned to always leave a paper trail, especially when there is money involved. This could be anything from a picture that you take, to a receipt, to an invoice, to an email confirmation. Just something, because even if it's not intentional, people make mistakes. That is completely okay, but I don't think the customer should be punished for that. Maybe that's just a Karen in me talking, but... And third, probably the biggest noob mistake was to not check my credit card statements. Now, this has always been something I haven't been good about, but it never came back to bite me until now. So I'm gonna be a lot more diligent about checking this, even if I don't want to see those numbers. So yeah, looks like I'll be doing my Chloe Ting workouts for a little bit longer. But if you have any recommendations for a free online workout, please let me know, because these quarantine gains are not coming in. Who's a cutie? Who's a cutie? Who's a cutie? Now, probably the biggest change that I experienced in 2020 was living at my parents' house. And for the most part, this has been great. I'm saving a lot of money, I have great food, good company, and lots of filming locations. That being said, I actually lost a lot of potential passive income while staying at home. About $3,500 to be precise. Now, as I mentioned in my What I Spent in a Week video, I was previously staying in a master bedroom in a property that I recently purchased, and I was renting out the other rooms. And when I came to my parents' house in early March, I was frankly expecting to only be here for 2 or 3 weeks to ride out the virus. So for those nearly 4.5 months from March until August, my room was sitting unoccupied collecting dust while I was just chilling here at home. And with a master suite priced at probably around $750 being conservative, that lost me nearly $3,000 in potential passive income. And if we add on the money I was spending in my share of the utilities every month, that was around $3,400 of lost income. And while obviously a situation like this hopefully will never happen again. I think the main thing that I learned from this whole thing is to take a little bit more initiative and be less hesitant about new opportunities to make a little bit more money, whether it's passive income or new side hustles or changes to my business. And I think there is a saying that instead of trying to save every penny, it's better to just make more money. And I'm still in that old mindset of just saving everything that I make, but I should try to shift that into exploring ways to make more money and be more aggressive on that front. Yeah. All right, outro. And yeah, that's it for today's video. As you can tell, I am quite the noob when it comes to anything money related. So if you have any tips or resources about investing or stocks or just finance in general, please let me know in the comments down below because I need a lot of help. But otherwise, if you like this video, please give it a big like and subscribe. Follow me on social media if you haven't already. I did start a new Discord server, so you can check that out if you wanna. And yeah, I'll see ya in the next one. Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Early March. Ba, ba, da, 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 da.